All right, start it.
Okay. Let's see. Nope. It says screen sharing disabled.
Oh, sorry, I need to make you a co-host. Okay, try now.
Okay. So as of last week, we discussed deletion workflow. We were talking about deletion in terms of it being a long-running operation where uh, sometimes if the number of objects in a bucket is very, very large, and if you're trying to delete the bucket, the amount of time it would take to finish the deletion call will definitely exceed the deadline on a single gRPC connection. So what we discussed was uh, whenever this reconcile loop for delete starts, we let the gRPC connection time out if it does. And then if it does time out, then we put the unreconciled object back into the queue that needs to be processed. But the way we put it back into the queue is such that it does a exponential back off. And over the last week, after Thursday's meeting, we actually implemented our core, I would say like a shared controller library that does this. Right now we're testing that library so that all the different components in the architecture can actually use that before it can use that. Now, the next step, so I just drew a quick chart of what needs to be done and like what are the next milestones we can look forward to. So the first thing I want to say before starting this is the cap is in a position where it can be reviewed. We have kept it up to date based on any new feedback we've been getting. So if the people here could spend just 10 minutes out of your day to look at whatever parts of the cap is relevant to you and leave your review on the cap, that would be very much appreciated. So the review is the step that is the last step before we can merge the cap and start pushing this code into the Kubernetes SIGs repo that is in the Kubernetes SIGs organization. So in the meantime, we're still using our private organization container object storage interface. We want to stop using it as soon as it is possible, that is, as soon as the cap is merged. Okay, let's get into milestones. So the first step with the way we're proceeding, so the first thing that we'll be able to show is actually a quick demo of the most basic workflows. I'll get into that. Let's just quickly cover what else is there. So after the demo, in terms of development, we will be we'll be trying to get to the milestone of minimum viable product, which is quite not alpha yet, and I'll explain why shortly. And in parallel, we'll be doing an API review. The API review and MVP will go hand in hand. That is, if the API review comes back and if there's some feedback that needs to be incorporated, that will be incorporated into the MVP. When that gets solidified, we'll also have a demo at that point as well, and after that we will push for alpha. In alpha, there'll be testing setup. There'll be some at least small amount of examples and maybe very simple docs. So alpha is not just basic working product. It'll be a little more than that. Now let's actually get into what first demo I'm thinking about. So the first thing I want to aim towards is actually a very simple demo of provisioning a greenfield bucket. So uh, a greenfield bucket is where, it's a brand new bucket. We're not sharing this bucket or anything in the first demo. All we're doing is only one bucket we create using the bucket access request and bucket class. And then we provision access for that bucket by creating a bucket access request. And once the and bucket access class, and once it is provisioned, the bucket access provisioned, we then mount it into a pod and access the bucket from the pod. This is the first demo that I want to aim towards. The reason for this demo is because it touches upon all the three components in the architecture. So the three components are central controller manager, sidecar controller, and the vendor provisioner for the sidecar controller, and also the node adapter, which is the CSI driver that will put the bucket into the pod. So we've started working towards it. Like I was saying earlier, we have defined the Go APIs for all the 6 bucket objects: bucket request, bucket access request, bucket class, bucket access class, buckets, and bucket access. And we've also developed a shared controller lib so that anyone who is or any component that's using this bucket star API, bucket APIs can actually simply just import this and start using it without having to reinvent the wheel within the project. The thing that's left to be done in terms of like shared code is having a test framework that all the 3 different projects can use. That is not the highest priority right now, because we can start focusing on developing the actual components. So in terms of the actual components, that is the central controller manager, sidecar, and node adapter, the bullet points in green show what has been done so far. And the bullet points in orange are left to be done. So we've started working on this after we got approval on the design and the KEP. When I say that, I mean not the merge itself, but where we all agree that this is the right design. In terms of central controller manager, after the shared controller library was developed, we quickly went from there to having at least a dummy listener for all the different objects. And I want Srini to give me an update on this, but as far as I know, Srini, we have that we've written an admission controller that will ensure that there's only one bucket class in the cluster, correct?
That will ensure that bucket class is specified in the incoming bucket request. I don't think so the way is when the BR comes in, if there is a default bucket class, we will use that to populate the BR. If the BR already has a bucket class, we will let it go through. So there is no check that multiple classes have default annotation at this point. If there are more than one class has a default annotation, I don't really catch that right now.
Okay, so that needs to be done, right?
Do we do that for storage classes? How do we do that?
We don't.
No, storage classes.
Yeah.
We talked to Jan about storage classes, and he said there can be, as far as he remembered, there could be multiple defaults, and the result is unpredictable.
Right. I think the code picks up the first one that it sees, I guess. I don't know. I mean, that's probably, I read that.
Orders.
Automatic.
I think it may also return an error if it sees more than one.
So
That can be done right now.
Yeah, so that needs to be done. So we should ensure that there's only one default bucket class. What was the thing you were saying about So you're saying if a BR comes in before there is any default bucket class, and if the BR does not have a bucket class filled, it returns an error, correct?
No.
Uh-huh.
If there is a default bucket class, the BR gets populated with default bucket class. If there is no default bucket class defined in the cluster, the BR will not have a bucket class defined, then it will throw an error. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I think that'll be useful. That'll make the code simpler in the,
And it is easy for me to catch the error if there are multiple bucket classes
okay.
which are default. That's not a difficult thing to do, but should we do that, or I have to look
Yeah.
at the storage class to
Okay.
see.
Okay, yeah, please look at storage class, and let's have the same behavior for bucket classes in terms of default.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is the progress of the central controller manager in
So yeah, I started using the new framework.
Mm-hmm.
So I had code that was using the external provisioner before, right? So I need to port that back into the new framework. That should not take long. Probably I will be working mostly on that today. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah. So first, just start using the new library. That's the thing you're working on right now.
Right.
Okay. Okay. And is Rob on the call? Nope. Okay. So Rob has been working on the shared controller library that I was explaining here. We actually last spoke on Saturday. Shout out to Rob for his dedication. Actually, everyone in the team. And what we last spoke of was we had to do some testing on this shared controller library, and so he's actually implemented the logic, and just the testing part is left before we can kind of brand it, saying it's in good shape. Again, on the sidecar side as well, if I last we had a sync up, we since you're rewriting from scratch, we'll have to start over on all these different events one by one. In terms of moving on to the next component, in terms of node adapter, we have Krish starting out on this. Krish, do you want to give us an update on where you are?
Yeah, sure. So can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of the initial boilerplate code for the identity server and node server has been written for the CSI driver.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just working on adding functionality for querying the bucket access request and bucket request.
Okay.
Get the values for the gRPC calls.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is actually literally the second point here. Sounds good. Okay, so for the demo, the things that need to be done are colored in black, the text color. So it looks like Chris is working on this part. In terms of node adapter, we'll need 2 more steps, which is to create the volume mounted into the pod. In terms of sidecar, we'll need to reconcile bucket create and bucket access create, and write a dummy provisioner, a sample one, and also have the deployment spec for it. Same with deployment spec for the node adapter. I missed that. In terms of central controller manager, just listen for creation of bucket requests and bucket access requests, and respond to that, and have a deployment spec for that as well. So, sorry?
That is possible. Yeah, that can be done. Controller quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So, I expect so. This is this might. I think a reasonable expectation of when we can do the demo is about 2 weeks from now, or maybe 3 weeks from now. It also depends on people's availability, but it is doable within that much time. So that's what we're looking at as of right now. So that's my update for like our development plan. I think now that I've managed to capture it in this format, we can follow the development closely, all of us, and start contributing code, pitching in, and help do this faster, even if possible. So if there's anyone on the call who wants to contribute to the development, you're welcome. Please maybe just reach out to me on Slack, Kubernetes Slack, and we can go from there. Yeah, that's all the update from me.
So one other thing we did was we changed the API groups to storage.kits.io. Right?
Yeah. As of last week, we had this conversation about changing the API group to storage.kits.io, and that has been done as part of the API definition. I think Srini, you have a PR open, right?
I know.
Yeah.
First PR, there was some kind of check-in.
After that,
changed that so that I did a PR yesterday night. Yeah, that's open still. Yeah, you merged one of my PRs, so
okay.
to review that. That's.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I will share that PR also on this chat. People are welcome to review this.
Yeah. And couple of things, as a couple of PRs I put out onto the main Kubernetes 6 for starting the CI.
Okay.
So that's basically copying the release directory with the update to the headers. I mean what do you call
I
that?
see what you mean. Yeah. Getting the CI working basically.
Yeah. So Shing or anyone from the community, if they can review that, those will be ready so that we can port our code after we got the clearance. So
yeah.
I just want those repos to be ready to go so that we don't spend time on or hung up on those things. So
makes sense. So is Saad on this call?
No, I don't see him.
So I want to again ask the people that are on the call, please take some time to go over the KEP, even if it's just the parts that you care about, that you're interested in. Say if you only care about bucket provisioning or access provisioning, if you just review your parts, the combination of everyone's reviews will add up and will cover the entire KEP. So please take some time to review the KEP today or during this week, whenever you get a chance, and it'll help us move forward.
Did you fix the commit message issue?
Yes.
Okay.
And I also fixed the other comment you gave about already exists.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah. So that's all from my side. If there is anything else anyone wants to bring up, now is a good time. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Again, if someone wants to help contribute code and wants to be a developer helping out with this project, then please reach out on SIG Storage Cozy channel, or ping me directly, whichever you prefer. My Slack Kubernetes Slack ID is WLAN0. I think. Let me check. Yeah, that is me, WLAN0. So just ping me and we'll go from there.
And also, are you using the project board under Kubernetes 6? I see that you have a board. Are you using that for tracking?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We started using it last week, I think.
Okay.
We don't have a whole lot, but whatever we thought. And Krisha also published some templates for the PR as well as issues. So that PR is also outstanding on the.
Okay.
So yeah, we need to link the PRs here at some point in time, so that people can, if anybody wants to review these things, so would be accessible. We can do that.
Makes sense.
I have a question, Sid. When do you think it can make any sense to try and run some kind of example of this code? It would like when the demo is ready, maybe, right? But after that, do you think it will be usable for anybody who's trying to just create a cozy driver as an example? Of course, just would that be a good timing when the demo is out?
Yeah. I don't intend the demo to be like just demo quality code. Demo will be a part of the development step basically. So yes, when we are ready to show the demo, I expect the code to be such that others can use it as much as is in the demo. So just provision bucket, provision access, mount bucket into pod. That much will be usable by the time we show the demo.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that would be something, at least I think, would be a good practice and maybe a good feedback point that we can sort of try. So I can maybe try creating a cozy driver and then be able to give some feedback on like.
Yeah, definitely.
How this looks from that side.
Yeah, that was the hope from our side. That'll help us ensure that even the way we deploy, all of that is kind of reviewed, and some good ideas might come out of it. So yeah.
Okay. And do you know what will be required in order to get to that latest kind of code and building with it? I mean, how do I actually get access to that build or anything like that? Will the demo include some guide of like how to build driver, how to deploy, anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. So I think I've also shown it here. Wait, here. Oh, here. Oh yeah, there. Yeah, so there'll be a deployment spec. So obviously there'll be a Docker image, which will be the build for that demo. So yeah, the deployment spec, ideally I want to make it a single customized template where you should just be able to do kubectl create-k for customize, and then URL will be github.com, Kubernetes SIGs, container object storage interface. Something like that. If you just give that GitHub URL, then it'll deploy the entire thing with the latest. That's what I do for one of the projects in Min.io, where to deploy the entire CSI driver, which is 2 different components. It's just kubectl create-k, github.com Min.io direct CSI.
And the build and the driver build, is it so there are some like the dependencies on the API, the gRPC API and all that, so these will come from latest of that somehow, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. So it's the details, we'll get to it later, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah. By default, we will do it as latest, but the philosophy of this development is always work with latest, and that's the quickest way for us to find bugs and fix it right away. If we start cutting versions and then start making changes on it, we'll end up having problems with at this stage, we'll have to start backporting already and doing stuff like that, which is better to avoid right now. As a first step, until we get to alpha, I think we'll just do always latest.
Okay, thanks. So I'll keep that in my timeline. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. If you have some cycles to contribute code, please reach out and we'll get you set up. All right. Thank you, everyone. That's all from me. Again, if you have any questions, please bring it up now. Otherwise, we can end the meeting here and let's meet again on Thursday.
Thanks, Sid.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.